Same day sourdough sandwich bread, let's go. All right guys, this recipe is super easy and very similar to my 8-hour sourdough recipe. If you're not familiar with that, it's pinned at the top of my page. Grab yourself a bowl and a digital scale. So this is gonna make 1 loaf of sourdough sandwich bread. You're gonna start with an active bubbly starter at its peak. If you're new around here, this is my starter Bella, and she's amazing. So start off with 125 grams of active starter. 125 grams. Make sure you zero out your scale, and then you want to add 325 grams of warm filtered water. 325 grams. Okay, and then you want to take this off the scale, and then you want to take your bread whisk and give it a good mix. If you don't have a bread whisk, that's fine. You can use a fork. So you just want to mix it until most of the starter is dissolved in the water. So it is okay for there to be some floating chunks of starter. That's totally normal. Put your bowl back on the scale and zero it out. Then you want to add 12 grams of extra virgin olive oil. Then make sure you zero out your scale and add 12 grams of honey. You can use 12 grams of sugar in place of the honey if you don't have honey or you don't prefer it. So 12 grams of honey. And then you can definitely add more honey or sugar if you like your sandwich bread on the sweeter side. And then make sure you zero out your scale again, and you're gonna add 500 grams of unbleached flour. It can be all-purpose or bread flour, it doesn't matter. All right, 500 grams of flour. Okay, last but not least, zero out your scale again, and we're gonna add 12 grams of salt. And that's it. We're done with the scale. You can go ahead and put that away. So for this part, I don't use a bread whisk. I prefer to mix the dough with my hand. I just find that it mixes a lot better when you do it with your hands. So just carefully get in there and start mixing up your dough. So when you first start mixing it, it'll look incredibly shaggy. You just need to give it a couple minutes of kneading your dough for your flour to absorb that water. You're gonna wanna do this for about 3 minutes until all your dough comes together and it's the same feel and consistency. Woo! I swear every time I do this, I feel like I'm getting a workout. So that is good and mixed. I'm gonna take my bench scraper, but you can also take a rubber spatula, and you wanna get the dough off your hands. You don't wanna be wasteful. Okay, so now I like to take my bench scraper or a spatula, and you wanna scrape down the sides of your bowl, making sure you scrape all the dough to the middle. Okay, and that's it. This is what it'll look like, super shaggy on top. You wanna cover it up with a kitchen towel and let it rest for 30 minutes. And then we'll come back and start our stretch and folds. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. We're gonna start our first set of stretch and folds. So this is what the dough looks like. Similar, but just a little bit more rested. So you wanna take one side of your dough and you wanna pull it up till it starts to resist, and then fold it over in the middle. Turn your bowl, pull it up, fold it over. So you just wanna go around your bowl and do that 4 times. We're gonna do 4 sets of stretch and folds. So this is it for this one. You wanna cover up your bowl, and then we'll come back in 30 minutes and do our second set of stretch and folds. All right, second set of stretch and folds. This is what your dough will look like, a little bit less shaggy. Just wanna take one side, pull it up, fold over. Pull up, fold over, and that's it, guys. Around the bowl 4 times. You're gonna cover it up with your kitchen towel, and then we'll come back in 30 minutes for our third set of stretch and folds. All right, third set of stretch and folds. Oh, you wanna say hi? Hi, Rosie. My Great Dane puppy, Rosie. Oh, you saying hi? Oh, that's so nice. Oh, no, that's not for you. Okay, so this is what your dough will look like. Same thing as we did before. Take a side, pull up, fold over. I went around my bowl 4 times. You'll notice with each set of stretch and folds that your dough does get a little bit stronger. So cover it up with your kitchen towel, and then we'll come back in 30 minutes for our final set of stretch and folds. Okay, final set of stretch and folds. Again, we're just gonna pull up, stretch over, going around the bowl 4 times. That's it, guys. You wanna cover it up with your towel again. You're gonna let this rest on the counter to rise at room temperature for about 3 to 4 hours. You want it to almost double in size. So not quite doubled in size, but about 75%. So this step could vary quite a bit depending on the temperature in your home. So for me, my home is 70 degrees, and this step takes about 3 to 4 hours to almost double. But if you have a really chilly home, this step could take up to 6 hours for you. But just make sure that it's almost doubled and you're good to go. Also, this thermal heating mat would be great to use for this next step. If you don't know what this is, I posted a whole video about it. It's great for people that have colder homes to help with their starter rise or even their dough rise. So if you have a colder home or you're struggling with that, this is linked on Amazon in my bio. So that's it. We'll come back in about 3 to 4 hours when our dough is almost doubled, and we'll shape this beautiful loaf of sandwich bread. Okay, guys, I am back. It has been 3 hours and our dough is almost doubled. So this is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see that red line right there, but it is definitely doubled. So let's get to shaping. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of flour on my counter, and then you wanna pour her out. She is almost there. And there she goes. Okay, so you just wanna take your dough and you wanna shape it into a rectangle. Doesn't have to be perfect. So if I see any air bubbles, I like to kind of push them down and pop them. You can even take a lightly floured rolling pin and get out the bubbles that way. Because if you leave those big bubbles in the dough now, then we'll have larger holes in our sandwich bread, and we don't want that. So you wanna go ahead and take this side and you wanna flip it over to the middle. Then take the other side and meet the seam right in the middle. And then we're gonna go ahead and take the end of our dough and you wanna roll it up pretty tightly. Then go ahead and take your dough, seam side down, and you want to take the ends and you want to kind of tuck them under and seal them. Okay, so take the end, you want to kind of tuck it under and seal it. Then we want to take our bench scraper and create tension by tightening up our loaf. Put it underneath and kind of pull it towards you. And you can also do it to the other side, and that tightens your loaf. Remember, you want to pop any bubbles if you see them. So if you don't have a bench scraper, you can also create that tension with your hands. This loaf is going to go seam side down in a greased 9x5 loaf pan. You can either grease it with butter or cooking spray, doesn't matter. Just make sure your loaf goes in seam side down. This is what it looks like. We want to leave it on the counter at room temperature to proof for 2 hours or until it is almost doubled in size, completely filling the loaf pan and raised almost slightly above the edge of the loaf pan. That's when you'll know it's fully proofed and ready to bake. So we just want to cover it up, find a warm spot, and I'll be back in 2 hours. Okay, so it's been about 2.5 hours, and this is what your dough will look like when it's done proofing. It will be super puffy. It will have completely filled your loaf pan. That is perfectly proofed and ready to bake. So we're going to put this in a preheated 375-degree oven, and we're going to bake it for about 35 minutes. Keep an eye on it towards the end because every oven is different, and you want it to be nice and golden brown. I'll be back. All right, guys, it's been 35 minutes. It's finished baking, and that is a beautiful loaf of sandwich bread. So what I like to do when it comes out of the oven is rub the top with butter. Can't have too much butter. Now I'm gonna wait as long as I possibly can to cut into it. Okay, it's been about 30 minutes, and I've waited long enough. Guys, look how pretty she is. This should just easily plop right out. Let's see. Yep, and there you go. Oh my goodness, she's a beauty. Look at that gorgeous girl. And she is soft and smells delicious. All right, let's cut her open. Look at this beautiful bread. Oop, she's still steaming. Look at that oven spring. Same day sourdough sandwich bread, and it is truly amazing. Let me know in the comments if you're planning on making it.